What's up, West Virginia fans? My name is Brad Smith. I am here with Rush Bishop. This is the Voice of Morgantown Show live. We are here every night at 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, every night right on the dot, 7 p.m. Be here. Guys, tonight we are talking about Ross Hodge's first year and whether he can compete for a Big 12 championship in year one. Rush, here's the quote that came out a couple of days ago. That is the mindset to win the Big 12, is what Ross Hodge said. As we know, it's difficult to win one game of the Big 12. It's difficult to win a college basketball game, period, let alone 20 games, let alone championships, let alone national championships. It's not lost on me how difficult it is, but at the same time, I think there is a way to win each game that you play. Your big picture goal is to win a national championship. We do want to win a Big 12 championship. Rush, here's the thing, man. It seems like every year we buy into this hype. We buy into, West Virginia is going to compete for a national or for a Big 12 championship, and then reality hits. And I'm just not buying into the hype this year, man. What do you think?
So you can look at this from two angles. I'm with you, and I think we're in a very similar situation to where we were last year. And at the end of the day, we're going to be competing for a bubble spot. Obviously, we all know what happened last year, and we got absolutely screwed there. But we are bringing, as we like to call him, Boss Hodge to town. Maybe he wasn't our number one ideal candidate, but I think this is a great candidate. And Ren Baker obviously has a lot of experience with him. Obviously, we don't want to see what's going on with football this year in basketball. But I do like this roster where it's at. I know that you wrote an article on this, and of course the fear is you bring in a bunch of mid-major guys. Are they able to compete on that Power 4 level? How are they going to be cohesive together? What's that going to look like, right? And obviously basketball, there's a lot of games at hand. The good thing and the advantage basketball has over like football, right, is the Big 12 championship. Only the top two schools are going to be going to the Big 12 championship, right? Obviously, West Virginia is not going to be competing for a regular season Big 12, I'll say. However, when you start getting to that Big 12 tournament, there's a couple of teams in the Big 12 that would rather focus on going out and winning a national championship, and they're not going to kill themselves in the tournament. Everyone has a chance. So if you can at least get in the top 8 seed and get yourself a bye to get an extra day of rest, I mean, anything can happen. So yeah, the regular season is not going to happen. I think Houston's going to be great again this year. Obviously, Iowa State, Kansas, the list goes on and on. It is a powerful conference, the Big 12. However, when you get to that tournament time, March is special. Anything can happen.
Yeah, my concern was that the basketball team's following the same script that the football team has followed, and that's we're bringing in a bunch of mid-major guys who we're trying to turn into Power 4 players, and you can possibly get a couple of them to be successful at this level. However, when it's all mid-major guys, to me, in the best conference in college basketball, it's just not going to work out. I also think we have a ton of concerns with our size. We have one guy who's 7 foot, Harlan Obiaha, who's our center. But we really don't have a lot of size, and I just think there's a lot of concerns here, man.
Yeah, and to be fair, these were concerns that we had last year, right? And I think this is where we're going to see the type of coach that Ross Hodge is. Obviously, DeVries, like him or not, he was a fantastic coach in West Virginia, and he brought out everything he could from every player. Like every player hit that ceiling and gave it all that they had. Again, we got screwed last year and DeVries went other places, but there's a reason why he went to Indiana, because he was a fantastic coach. So with Ross Hodge, you hope you can get the same thing where he's getting the most out of every player. And when that happens and the team's in sync and they're just feeling one another, great things can happen from that. Yeah, I agree with you with the concerns, right? You hope that, these guys can compete with Power 4 guys that have been here a while. And when you have schools like Kansas and Houston throwing millions and millions of dollars for each player, and then you got us that's like, oh, we got to make our money last as long as we can. It's, it's tough. So of course, never say never, but there are situations, especially like I was saying earlier with basketball, and when you get to March time, where I'll say special things can happen. So I know we're talking more regular season and over the course of that. I think, I mean, here's the good thing about the Big 12, right? Is it is a conference that's tough as hell, of course, but a team can go 7-11 in Big 12 play and make the tournament. Like that's considered a good, uh, like a good record in the Big 12, right? So, there is room for error when we get to the Big 12 portion of our schedule. And, I guess the question is too, when you have a bunch of mid-major guys, is how long are they going to last before the wheels fall off, right? So, hey, if we can run through the non-con, hopefully, there are going to be some tough games there, and just grind out that Big 12 schedule, especially the games at home, right? Those are most important. We'll see what March brings.
Comparing last year's team to this year's team, Darren DeVries, I thought, had a team that could potentially compete in the Big 12. You had Tucker DeVries, who was successful, who looked like a Big 12 player. Javon Small, who was a Big 12 talent. We had several players who I felt like I just felt more confident in that team entering the season. And if we wouldn't have had the Tucker DeVries fake injury, then we probably would have made the NCAA tournament. And who knows what would have happened. This year, I'm just not feeling the same way, Rush. I like some of the players individually. I like Trace and Eaglestaff. I like Honor Huff. I like some of these guys, but I have concerns for each one. Honor Huff is 5'10". I worry about him defensively. Trace and Eaglestaff is a great scorer, but I worry about his athleticism. And so there's just a lot of issues, in my opinion, for this year's team. I think we're going to be bad, man. I don't think it's going to be a good season at all.
I mean, those are all valid concerns, and you could be right? That's the fear going on right now. Is basketball going to be a repeat of football? And, that's everyone right now is kind of know the fate of the football season, at least, for this year, the football team. So, we're starting to turn our heads and look to basketball as, we have less than a month to go till November 4th and the season opens up. So we are hoping that basketball is able to dig us out of this hole. I think the benefit you have for Ross Hodge, right, and why he can fit the West Virginia mold is Darren DeVries, of course, great coach. We know he went to Indiana, but, more of an offensive-minded coach. I think with Ross Hodge, you kind of bring that West Virginia mentality back. And I do think the Coliseum is a tough place to play. So, yes, at the end of the day, you got to have guys with talent to stay in these games. But I do think there's other factors that can help these guys, bring it across the finish line. So I think the good thing is, we can talk about it. There are going to be a couple of tough games in the non-con, but I think relatively the non-con looks, I think we're going to know real quick. I guess that's my point of what type of team we have here. I do think the non-con, as opposed to previous years, gives us this opportunity to start building some team cohesion, start getting guys going, see what they're capable of, see what their weaknesses are. So then when you get to that Big 12 play, you can hopefully turn it around and stay competitive. And the good thing about the Big 12 this year too, last year they kind of did an experiment with 20 games. This year they're going back to 18. So, it's 2 less games. And, in this conference, 2 less games is, that's a lot. That's a lot. So hopefully that benefits a team like West Virginia.
You mentioned the non-conference schedule. We've got Clemson, Wake Forest, Ohio State early on, Pitt. It's brutal, man. That's not an easy early non-conference schedule at all.
Yeah, the good thing is everyone else is going to be dealing with what we're dealing with, right? Is figuring out what they have, and it's basketball, right? It takes a little bit for these teams to get going. So, we had a great season last season, and we got crushed in the backyard brawl. So anything can happen that game. We know it's a rivalry. We know we have Clemson, and and then we're either playing Georgia or Xavier in the Charleston Classic. So, we'll get a shot there at playing some other Power 6 teams. And then, of course, we're going to add Ohio State. And we know that we really like that matchup. And Ohio State's also a team that is trying to get back to their glory days as well. So, yeah, we got a couple of Power 6 teams, in the schedule this year. But I don't think none of them really are like, oh my gosh, we can't handle them. I think it's going to be a great litmus test. And even, we drop a couple of those games, maybe we learn a lot from them. And the Big 12 play is what's going to matter the most to us and how we do in that season.
Yeah. Focusing on the future a little bit, Rush, I feel a whole lot better about the future of West Virginia's basketball program. Today we signed, or not signed, but got a commitment from Kingston Whitty, a 4-star guard. Aliu Diem, the 6'11 forward center, has already committed for the 2026 class. The future looks really bright, man. I mean, Joshua Tyson, another 4-star guard, was in Morgantown this last weekend. And Miles Sadler, who is a 5-star guard, is visiting Morgantown on October 24th. So just a ton of reason to feel good about the future of the program. What do you think about what's happening down the road, man?
So this is where we're going to shift a little bit, right? I'm a little more optimistic about the season this year. You're a little more pessimistic. Yeah. You're a little more optimistic about the future. I'm going to be a little more pessimistic here, not because I don't think we have a solid culture and the guys that we need in place. I think that's going to be fine. And I do think our future is going to be okay. I like the guys that Hodge is bringing in and has already signed. The thing that always scares me, right, is if they actually get across to the finish line. We are in the NIL transfer portal era of college sports. They can commit all they want to West Virginia. Now, whether they play or not, it's gonna, we'll see it when they actually get in uniform and are in the Coliseum. Then I'll feel a lot better about that. But two, it's even if these guys play a year for us, right, they could be completely somewhere else the following year. I think the mentality is. And I think this needs to be at least across football and basketball here at West Virginia. But the good news, it's a lot easier with basketball, is just assume every year it's a blank slate and you got to start over, right? Basketball, it's easier because you only have 15 spots, where football, you got 105 people you gotta figure out. So I think, I know West Virginia fans don't like it, and we're a very state and school and culture that's about, like, we want our Bob Huggins, and I mean Rich Rod kind of is an example of this, but we want our guys, right? And we want them to stay, and we want them to fight for us. Unfortunately, that's not the current state of college athletics. But I think the good news is if we're prepared to start fresh every year, then we go into it and there are no surprises. And if good guys stick around, coaching staff sticks around, well, that's less you have to do. And then you can put more resources other places. But we always, whether the administration, fans, just always assume that you got to start over the following year, and it'll make things a lot easier and you'll be in for less disappointment. So I am looking forward to the future of West Virginia basketball. I think we're in good hands. Like I said, the guys you mentioned, will they be here or not? That's where I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah. One of the recent hires that Ross Hodge made officially, Yusuf Ali, the assistant coach. He was an assistant coach under Bobby Hurley at Arizona State. He's a Toronto, Canada guy. This guy, I think, is maybe one of the sneaky best hirings of the offseason for West Virginia. He's outstanding recruiter, has already, I think, been linked to Miles Sadler, the 5-star guard. This is someone who I feel like could potentially be someone who really comes in and brings in a lot of big-time talent to Morgantown. Yeah,
it's a head coach can't do it all himself, right? Is a lot of people, for example, last year with DeVries, a lot of people were high on Chester Frazier, right? So you need a complete staff, especially when there are just so many moving pieces. Like I mentioned earlier, an NIL transfer portal, you still got to recruit and see who's coming through up the ranks. And even if you don't get those guys to your school, right, you at least know who they are, and you never know when they may become available again in the transfer portal. So it's essential to have such a supportive staff, and just, some guys are just really good at recruiting, and that is very important to have here at West Virginia, especially like you were saying, right? A guy from Canada, that international presence is, yes, especially in the game of basketball, is very important. I know with international guys, it can get a little more weird when it comes to NIL and working out how they, stay here with visas and all that sort of stuff. But obviously it can be done and they can figure it out. But, some guys, we see it in the NFL, we see it in college sports, right? There's some guys that just have the mind that are just coordinators. They just know the X's and O's. And when it comes to giving a chance to be the head coach, they don't know how to manage, but they're geniuses when it comes to X's and O's. I think that's very similar when it comes to assistant coaches in basketball. Some guys, when it comes to recruiting, They know exactly what to say. They know how to be supportive. They know what needs to be heard by the parents and the person they're trying to recruit. But, maybe that's where they're supposed to be. They're not necessarily head coaches, down the line. And it sounds like Ross has a great supportive staff around him. And that's essential to success, especially when you're in the process, kind of like you're saying, of, what's this future looks like. You got to have all the pieces right.
Yeah. So, Rush, I think it's going to be an ugly season for the Mountaineer basketball team. I predict maybe a couple of wins in Big 12 play. I really don't think we're going to have I think it's going to be a rebuilding year for us. What do you think, man? Are you predicting a NCAA tournament for the Mountaineers this year?
I think we're going to be right on that bubble. I am more. It's going to be tough, man. I would lean towards more going to like the NIT and making a splash in the NIT and building momentum that way and being great the following year. If I'm not mistaken, what year was 06, 07 when we won the NIT, and then the years to come, we were just dominant. I think it could be a lot like that year.
Yep. All right, guys, it's been nice doing a quick show here tonight. We are going to be here every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and let's go Mountaineers.
Let's go.
So Morgantown, we break it first. WVU pride, we quench your thirst.